All right, I've got Mr Behyad Jafari from the Electric Vehicle Council of Australia. Welcome to Ludicrous Feed, Behyad.
Thanks for having me on.
Big day today. Labor, our federal opposition party, has announced an electric vehicle policy. First of all, is this an April Fool's joke? If not, what are the highlights?
No, it's definitely not an April Fool's joke. It's definitely happening. And look, there's really a big step forward for the electric vehicle sector in Australia. We've got the federal ALP saying that if elected, that they'll support a target of at least 50% of all new vehicle sales to be electric by 2030. They'll make 50% of the government's own fleet of vehicles electric by 2025, provide $200 million in funding to support the rollout of charging infrastructure, and also let businesses accelerate the depreciation of purchasing electric vehicles to make their total cost of ownership better sooner and start supporting fleets moving over to electric.
Cool. Is this what you've been pushing for? Is that enough, or do they need to do more?
Yeah, look, I think it hits on a lot of the right aspects. Some of the biggest message that we've been sending to governments and political parties is that this is a sector that needs certainty more than anything else, and it needs long-term planning. So something like a national target, and 50% by 2030 is exactly the one that we recommend, says to the sector that we recognise this transition is occurring, we support it to happen, and it sets the framework for everything else. So if over the years we need to continue working with governments to improve, refine, even start rewinding in measures to support electric vehicles, we know what target it is that we're trying to hit.
So you're saying this is really important for the Australian economy?
That's right, whether it's about consumers having access to the technology that's cheaper to run and healthier to have on our roads, and very importantly for us about making sure that when the entire world is saying we're transitioning to electric vehicles, that Australian industry and Australian jobs are being set up to help service that, whether it's from the very beginning in digging the rocks out of the ground to make the batteries, turning them into batteries, putting them into cars, providing charging infrastructure. Australian entrepreneurs are already building businesses around all of these areas, and we should be supporting them.
Yep, absolutely. How does, I mean, at the ground level, there are still a lot of people who are sceptical of electric vehicles and renewables. How can the Labor Party or whoever gets into government sell this policy?
I think a lot of that scepticism comes from people not understanding the technology and not having exposure to it. Because there are so few electric vehicles on our roads, people have a lot of misconceptions about how will it work, how long does it take to charge. But some of this supporting policy starts to get the ball rolling and creates momentum. And much like we saw with, for instance, things like rooftop solar panels, it's much easier for someone when their neighbour has one to understand and to be able to have a conversation about what is the reality behind the technology. And once they hear from their neighbour that it goes faster, it's nicer to drive, it's quieter, cheaper to run, it costs a couple of dollars to refuel, I think people will, some of those misconceptions will start to get knocked over and people will get very excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is obviously a signal for, car companies to suddenly start investing in Australia or bringing their product over down under.
I think both between that and the rollout of charging infrastructure and other supportive technologies, that signal that it sends to industry to say, start investing in Australia now, start bringing your products here because we're going to support it to happen, it's the most powerful thing that these policies can do. Because, of course, the technology has already been invented. Business cases exist around charging infrastructure. We're not waiting for anything new to, be dreamt up. We're just trying to get access to the same thing that the rest of the developed world has here in Australia.
And obviously you've had a big day in the press. You've been quoted a few times. What hand have you and Electric Vehicle Council of Australia played in helping Labor develop this policy?
Well, our role is to be, first and foremost, the advocates, so making sure there's a lot of priorities for any political party and any government, making sure that electric vehicles are as close to the top of that priority list as possible, that it is addressed. And then, of course, them being a source of truth. We provide expert opinion, we provide well-researched, evidence-based facts to give people the comfort to actually be able to write a policy. And by being a voice of a collaborative voice behind industry, we're able to be able to provide feedback of what targeted measures. There's quite a lot of things that a government can do, but appreciating they want to try to spend as little as possible and be as efficient as possible. What targeted measures a government can do or a political party running for government can do in order to help stimulate more investment.
Fantastic. Well, I personally am very excited, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers are as well. Mr Behyad Jafari, always a pleasure to have you on Ludicrous Feed. Thanks for your time.
Thanks a lot. Good to talk.
Pleasure. Speak soon. I do solemnly promise should I win a Roadster 2020 in Tesla's new referral program, to list this vehicle on an electric car sharing platform to allow all Australians an opportunity to drive this magnificent car as part of a greater effort to bring the electric vehicle to this great nation. Hashtag Roadster Down Under. Help me by using my referral code Thomas7208. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being part of the energy revolution. If you haven't done so already, be sure to hit subscribe to stay up to date with our latest videos. Happy charging!